What if I told you that the largest creature to ever exist on Earth isn't a dinosaur? What if everything you thought you knew about nature's giants was completely wrong? When we think of massive animals, our minds jump to the blue whale, the African elephant, or maybe even a towering giraffe. But these modern titans are mere shadows compared to the prehistoric monsters that once walked, swam, and soared across the planet. How big is big? When evolution has no limits? Could you imagine a predator so large it could swallow a great white shark whole? Or a land beast so heavy it would crush a modern-day tank beneath its feet? Why did nature allow these giants to exist? And why did it wipe them out? Some of these beasts ruled ancient oceans with jaws longer than your car. Others thundered across the land, their footsteps shaking the earth. They weren't just animals, they were living forces of nature. But where did they go? Was it the climate, catastrophe, or something we still don't understand? This is the story of the largest animals to ever exist on Earth, and how their mind-bending size changed everything. 1. Argentinosaurus, the largest land animal ever. When we talk about the giants of prehistory, the first image that pops into most people's minds is usually Tyrannosaurus rex, the king of the dinosaurs. But in the brutal arena of sheer size, Argentinosaurus makes the mighty T-Rex look like a house pet. This titanic sauropod didn't just dominate its environment, it redefined what we thought was possible for life on land. Discovered in Argentina and first described in the 1990s, Argentinosaurus huincalensis lived during the late Cretaceous period, roughly 94 million years ago. Paleontologists estimate it reached lengths of 100 feet 30 meters, the equivalent of a 10-story building laid flat, and may have weighed up to 100 tons. That's the weight of 14 African elephants combined, or nearly a Boeing 757. How did something so massive even exist? And more importantly, how did it move? Despite its size, Argentinosaurus likely walked on land, supported by pillar-like legs and a long, whip-like tail for balance. Its neck alone may have stretched nearly 40 feet, allowing it to graze from high tree canopies without needing to move much. Imagine a creature so tall it could peer into a fourth-floor window, and then turn around and crush the building with a single misstep. Its diet consisted entirely of plants, yet it likely needed to consume hundreds of kilograms of vegetation per day just to survive. But how do you even feed a creature that needs the caloric equivalent of a small village's weekly food supply every day? Some scientists believe it spent most of its life slowly and methodically moving through forests and plains, stripping entire groves of vegetation as it went, its long neck acting like a crane in a lumberyard. Argentinosaurus likely had few predators, not just because of its size, but because attacking it would be suicidal. Juveniles, however, may have been vulnerable to large carnivores like Giganotosaurus, which lived in the same region and time period. Still, once fully grown, it was practically untouchable, a living fortress of muscle, bone, and scale. But here's the question: how did evolution create something this big? What environmental pressures, biological advantages, or flukes of fate led to the rise of such a behemoth? And more intriguingly, why aren't there any land animals this size today? Some scientists speculate that the warm, oxygen-rich atmosphere of the Mesozoic allowed for larger body sizes. Others suggest that the lack of large competitors and predators gave sauropods evolutionary room to grow. Whatever the reason, Argentinosaurus represents a time when nature operated on a different scale, when bigger was not only better, it was essential. Fun fact: if you laid an Argentinosaurus across an American football field, its nose would be almost touching one goalpost, and its tail would be hanging out the back of the end zone on the other side. That's not a dinosaur, that's a living, breathing monument. And yet, we've only found fragmentary fossils, a few vertebrae, ribs, and leg bones. Could the real Argentinosaurus have been even bigger? Is it possible there's an even larger land animal still waiting to be discovered beneath layers of earth we've never touched? 2. Spinosaurus, the largest carnivorous dinosaur. Forget what Jurassic Park taught you. Tyrannosaurus rex may have been the poster child of prehistoric terror, but it wasn't the largest carnivorous dinosaur to ever live. That title belongs to Spinosaurus aegyptiacus, a true river monster of the Cretaceous period that dwarfed even the mighty T-Rex in both length and presence. Living approximately 112 to 93 million years ago in what is now North Africa, Spinosaurus stretched up to 59 feet, 18 meters, in length and weighed as much as 20 tons. That makes it not only longer, but also heavier than T-Rex, which typically maxed out around 40 feet and 9 tons. So why isn't Spinosaurus more famous? Because until recently, we didn't even fully understand what it was. When scientists first discovered Spinosaurus remains in the early 20th century, they were destroyed during World War II bombings. For decades, paleontologists had only scraps to go on, until more recent discoveries in Morocco unearthed a game-changing truth. Spinosaurus was semi-aquatic. That's right, this beast didn't just walk on land, it swam. With a long, narrow snout lined with conical teeth, Spinosaurus had more in common with crocodiles than with other theropods. Its jaws were built not for bone crushing, but for snatching slippery prey, like massive fish and aquatic reptiles. Think of it as a 13-ton heron with murder on its mind, plucking fish from the rivers of Cretaceous Africa with surgical precision. But that's just the beginning. Spinosaurus also had dense bones that helped it stay submerged, unlike most dinosaurs which had lighter skeletons for land movement. Its powerful tail was later discovered to be flattened like a paddle, ideal for propelling it through water. This wasn't just a dinosaur that could swim, it was a dinosaur that preferred the water. It's almost unsettling, a predator that massive, gliding silently beneath the surface, waiting to strike like a monstrous river shadow. What else don't we know about these aquatic killers? Were there more? Could there be a whole class of semi-aquatic dinosaurs we've overlooked? And then there's the sail, the iconic, mysterious structure rising from Spinosaurus's back, made of elongated neural spines that formed a towering fin. What was it for? Some paleontologists suggest it was used for display or thermoregulation, while others believe it might have played a role in aquatic navigation or mating rituals. But honestly, we don't really know. It's one of paleontology's most haunting mysteries. Fun fact, if Spinosaurus stood nose to nose with a T-Rex, it would be noticeably longer, its crocodile-like snout reaching out just far enough to make a deadly first move. But what truly sets Spinosaurus apart isn't just its size, it's its evolutionary audacity. This wasn't just the largest carnivorous dinosaur, it was a biological rule breaker, rewriting everything we thought we knew about what a dinosaur could be. Land, water, it mastered both. So the next time someone tells you T-Rex was the apex predator of all time, ask them, have you met the River King? 3. Paraceratherium, the largest land mammal. Think elephants are the giants of the animal kingdom. Think again. Before mammoths and long before the African elephant took the crown, Earth was ruled by a true mammalian titan, Paraceratherium, the largest land mammal to have ever walked the planet. This prehistoric giant lived between 34 and 23 million years ago, during the Oligocene epoch, in what is now Central Asia, from Mongolia to Pakistan. And although it looks somewhat like a modern rhinoceros, make no mistake, Paraceratherium was in a league of its own. Standing up to 16 feet, 5 meters tall at the shoulder, with a body length stretching over 26 feet, 8 meters, and a weight of around 20 tons. This colossal creature was heavier than a full-grown T-Rex, and nearly 3 times heavier than today's largest elephants. And yet, despite its immense size, it was a gentle herbivore. No horn, no armor, no giant tusks, just a long neck, pillar-like legs, and an appetite that could strip a forest clean. So how did it survive in a world teeming with predators? The answer lies in its sheer size. Very few, if any, carnivores of the time would have dared to challenge an adult Paraceratherium. It likely lived relatively unbothered, using its long neck and prehensile upper lip, not unlike a giraffe or modern-day tapir, to pluck leaves from tall trees and high branches. In fact, its feeding strategy was so efficient, it barely needed to move much. Stand, eat, and grow. That was its life. But here's the real mystery. How did such a massive mammal evolve in the first place? Unlike dinosaurs, which had the advantage of bird-like respiratory systems and hollow bones, Mammals are biologically limited in how large they can grow due to their internal physiology. So for Paraceratherium to exist at all, the Earth must have been uniquely suited to it. A planet rich in vegetation, with warm temperatures, expansive forests, and few threats. And what happened? Why don't creatures like this roam the Earth today? Did climate change wipe out their food sources? Did the rise of more efficient grazers lead to their downfall? Or was it the changing landscape? More mountains, more arid zones, that simply no longer supported giants like Paraceratherium? Paleontologists are still debating these questions. The fossil record remains frustratingly incomplete. We've never found a full skeleton, only scattered bones, jaws, leg bones, vertebrae. But even from those fragments, the picture is clear. This animal was not just big, it was record-breaking. Fun fact, if Paraceratherium stood next to a modern elephant, the elephant would barely reach its shoulders. Imagine a creature so massive its head could easily look into a second-story window. But perhaps the most humbling thought is this: we only know it existed because of a few bones buried in the dust of forgotten landscapes. How many more giants are waiting to be found? How many creatures even larger may have come and gone, their bones lost to time? Paraceratherium is a monument to what mammals can become when nature allows them to dream big. Very big. 4. Megalodon, the king of the prehistoric oceans. Imagine swimming in an ocean where even whales weren't safe, where the top predator didn't just rule the seas, it terrorized them. That predator was Megalodon, the most powerful marine carnivore to ever live. Between 23 and 3.6 million years ago, this monstrous shark dominated Earth's oceans with a level of brutality and force that remains unmatched even today. Growing to an estimated 50 to 60 feet, 15 to 18 meters in length, 3 times the size of a great white shark, Megalodon wasn't just big, it was colossal. Its bite force, estimated at up to 40,000 pounds per square inch, was likely the most powerful of any known creature in Earth's history, even stronger than that of a T-Rex. It could crush bones, shatter rib cages, and bite through the thick skulls of prehistoric whales as if they were styrofoam. And speaking of whales, that's what Megalodon ate. It didn't feast on fish or seals like modern sharks. It hunted early baleen whales, giant sea turtles, and other massive marine mammals. Fossil evidence shows deep gouge marks on ancient whale bones, perfectly matching the serrated edges of Megalodon's enormous teeth, some of which grew over 7 inches long. That's the size of a human hand. Now imagine hundreds of those teeth arranged in 5 rows, constantly rotating forward like conveyor belts of death. One bite could shear an animal in half. But Megalodon wasn't mindless, it was a strategic killer, targeting the soft underbellies, flippers, or tails of its prey to immobilize them first. But how does a creature like this even evolve? Why did nature build such a monster? And more chilling, why did it disappear? Theories abound. Some scientists suggest that climate change cooled the oceans and affected its food supply. Others believe competition from smaller, faster predators, like the ancestors of today's orcas, may have outmaneuvered Megalodon as ecosystems shifted. And there's a darker theory, a mass marine extinction event triggered by sea level drops and ecosystem collapses might have spelled doom for the ocean's apex predator. Yet the mystery of Megalodon doesn't end with its extinction. Fossilized teeth have been found on every continent except Antarctica, hinting that Megalodon roamed all global oceans with terrifying freedom. Some even speculate that the creature could still be out there, lurking in deep ocean trenches. It's extremely unlikely, but is it impossible? Fun fact, Megalodon's mouth was so massive it could open 7 feet wide, large enough to swallow 2 adult humans side by side, whole. In life, Megalodon was the undisputed emperor of the seas. In death, it left behind only scattered teeth, fossilized vertebrae, and unanswered questions. But perhaps that's what makes it even more terrifying. Not what we know, but what we don't. Megalodon wasn't just a shark. It was an apex nightmare, an evolutionary superweapon designed for domination. And for nearly 20 million years, it succeeded. From land-walking titans to oceanic monsters and flying beasts the size of planes, Earth was once ruled by giants beyond imagination. Though they've vanished, their fossils whisper of a world where size knew no limits. Today, the blue whale stands as the last true giant, a living reminder of nature's former scale. But what else lies buried beneath our feet? What secrets have yet to be unearthed? One thing is certain, the age of giants may be over, but their legacy is just beginning. Subscribe for more epic stories from Earth's ancient past.